What's going on, everybody? This is James Grandmaster Facts Voice. You are here for another episode of the Facts Project. Today, back on the program once again, DJ Ben HaMeen. Thank you for being here, sir.
Thank you for having me, man.
We're here to talk about Jimi Hendrix-Purple Haze, Titan Comics. Thank you again.
Thank you. No, for real. Thank you. I'm honored and happy to be here to talk about it.
Absolutely. So first and foremost, just to get right into it, we're talking about this particular comic in general and almost in the metaphorical graphic novel sense. This is an authentic Hendrix LLC, the first ever. How did this come about?
Oh man, I feel like that is the number one asked question. People are just shocked, pretty much, I think. Let's see, how did it come about? It came about because Titan Comics has been working with Hendrix LLC, the estate, for a few years now, even before we came onto the project, and they just been trying to get this off the ground. They wanted to do an autobiographical graphic novel at first, and then they were like, we're not really feeling that, so they started pitching it out to people. And my writing partner, Mellow Brown, was and is still working on the Blade Runner franchise for Titan.
Correct.
So they like the work that he's been doing there. He's done a whole lot. He's like basically the Kevin Feige of the Blade Runner comics right now. So they were like, yo, do you want to pitch on this? He told this story to me the other day. I didn't know because I didn't see the forwarding like that. But he said 10 minutes after he got the email asking to pitch on it, he forwarded it to me and asked me, did I want to work on it with him?
Right.
And so we pitched to Janie Hendrix, who is the executor of the estate. And the only concept that we had going in was they wanted to not do straight autobiographical. They wanted to do something that was sci-fi, fantasy oriented. And so we basically pitched our graphic novel. Like what you see is pretty much, or what you read is pretty much our pitch.
That was like the first draft.
Not the first draft, but the draft that we sent to them contained the majority of what you read in this comic. Yeah, I'd have to go back and look at it honestly to see how much of that. That'd be interesting to see, and I'm gonna do that after we get off the straw. I'll probably go and I'll email you and let you know if there's anything that really wasn't in there. But I know for the most part, the larger story of Hendrix battling against this intergalactic fascist empire. And then that's the larger story. And then the smaller story that we also tell in this graphic novel about him traveling back to the circuit, getting involved with the politics there, the Dambaka, all the various things you see it were all in our pitch. Yeah, maybe not to the extent where there were names and things of that nature. I don't think the Dambaka were named or even created at that point. But yeah, a lot of the stuff was in the pitch, definitely. The general idea was definitely there.
For sure. And of course, I'm seeing them more so the fact, of course, a lot of Jimmy's career was based around the time of the Vietnam War. Of course, there's a lot of, I guess, underbelly characteristics for the military industrial complex and molding before his eyes. When we're looking at it from there, because also people don't necessarily know that Jimmy was in the military at one point in time before the Vietnam War broke out.
He was a parachuter.
Yeah.
Yep.
So like even in that context of that, you almost get this like I get this the Finn stormtrooper connotation. Like you only can about it if you know about it.
Have you ever been in the military?
I was in the Air Force for 4 years. Yes, sir.
Nice. There you go. Thank you for your service, man. Yeah, my dad was Air Force as well. Old school, you know what I mean? And Mello also served. I'm not sure if it's Navy or Air Force. I want to say Navy. And my best friend is he went to Annapolis. What's that? Naval Academy, right?
It's a Naval Academy, yeah.
Yeah. So that's like my brother from, that's my brother, so my man Andrew Higgins is, Naval Academy. While I was at Howard, he was right there in Annapolis. So yeah, so that was a big influence on our writing, obviously. My father is a huge influence on me, and his military lifestyle is a huge influence on my lifestyle, obviously. And Mello had those same feelings. And I've never served, but I've been incarcerated. And that to me is like one of the same type of indoctrination type things that happens in that. And
Mm-hmm.
so that was, and definitely as we researched, like I told this in another interview, I was talking about Mellow. I felt like as we researched it, Mellow identified so much with Hendrix, you know, as he found out what Hendrix's political thoughts were and why he left the military, et cetera, et cetera. It was just, you know, spot on with him. And obviously I had those same feelings about the military industrial complex, like pretty much the feelings that were established in this book. And one of my favorite Easter eggs is the reference to the join the army, travel to exotic distant lands, meet exciting unusual people, and kill them. Because I used to have that on a T-shirt as a kid. So that was me putting that poster into the background of the book.
Yeah, there's also a particular segment where he has to do a secret show in Sector 7B, where he encounters a concert promoter by the name of Eugene, who
Yes.
hires a private military escort. And the first thing Jimmy does when meeting this gentleman is like, "Yo, what battalion are you in?" And he was like, I'm in the 27th." And he was like, "I'm not really comfortable with this whole thing. Like, he doesn't even have to be here."
Yep.
And yet, even in the fact of the crowd that he's participating for, a kid gets assaulted, and
Yep.
he walks directly off because this is just isn't his field. Yeah, I felt like that was a poignant part of the story, of
Oh,
course,
thank you.
and also the, I guess, the torturous aspect of gimmicks. So everybody understands the image of Jimi Hendrix burning his guitar.
Yes.
You see that one aspect in the comic where he's at the concert and they were like, "I didn't come here to pay for this shit. Do what you usually do." And as soon as he burns the guitar, then the crowd goes nuts. And he's like, I still don't feel it. Like, they're not listening to the music. They just want me to do my thing. And this
Yeah.
is supposedly the thing that they like.
Mm-hmm.
So I like the turn of almost in a wrestler type aspect. If you don't do your finishing move, you're not really wrestling.
Ah, yeah. Yep. That's a great reference right there. Definitely. Because I mean, that's pretty much it. Like if I go to see The Rock and he doesn't do the rock bottom, I'm disgusted. You know what I mean? Straight up. If Triple H doesn't pedigree somebody, you know, what am I here for? Like, come on, fam. You know, so that's pretty much it. And that was definitely in the pitch. I know that. That was one of the first things we talked to Janie about when we started discussing this book with her, was that we wanted to talk about that. That was, you know, one of our big things that we wanted to talk about, and you referenced it in the military part, is how Black Jimi Hendrix was and is, and how in our current times, because of how rock music has been kind of taken away from us, where we don't too much accept that we created it, and Jimmy falls with that. So because of that, Jimmy isn't recognized as a Black man as much as I think he should be. And as I've said many times now, talking about this book, when you like, and that's another one of the big things that I brought to it, was this whole river of music idea. And this river of music idea is like, you know, we have all this pantheon of Black music. And I feel like Black people have been pretty much making one form of music since we came to America. We're making blues. It's just different blues and protest music. And it's
Correct.
just the different forms of technology change, and that makes our genres change. And also our exploration of music makes genres change, because we explore things to the fullest and then we're like, all right, let's move on to this. So rock is one of those things that we forget we created. And so that was one of the big things, was for people, we wanted this book to remind people Jimmy was Black, his thoughts were Black, his ideas were with Black people, you know, and he wanted to represent Black people. And that's why, while the book is talking about his music, it's really talking about a specific point in his life, even though it's in this space metaphor. It's talking about when he forms, or when he begins to form, the Band of Gypsies, because that's when he gets two Black brothers and makes pretty much when he's like, all right, y'all didn't get it before, okay, here's what I'm about.
Right.
And that's the last album he releases. And so, you know, that was all what we approached Jamie with. We were like, we want to talk about this, we want to talk about this album, we want to talk about him being Black. That, you know, we want people to walk away from this knowing two things. Jimmy is a black man, and he is one of the top two, if not the greatest guitarist of all time.
Correct. And even in this day and age, he's still
to this
talking
day.
about that light.
To this day, yeah.
So it's funny. I think you brought up the fact of the river of music theme that's basically drifted throughout this book. This particular line that y'all wrote, I thought was extremely poignant, where it says, "When did I become a lake, and how do I get back to the river?" Where did that come from?
That was me and Mellow. That was Mellow. That part, the second one, when he references it, is Mellow playing off what I wrote earlier. And that was just like I said, that's just an idea. I don't know. I'm a water sign, so I'm obsessed with water, and like the flow of time and the flow of music is something I've just been obsessed with since I really got into hip hop. You know, because hip hop showed me, it made me learn about our history. And about all the music that we sampled. So I started seeing the chain, you know, like recently I got into Thelonious Monk heavy, and I've been running around like, yo, DJ Premier is Thelonious Monk. You know, I've been telling everybody who listens, I'm just like, yo, if Thelonious had an MPC, he'd be Premier. If Premier had some music lessons when he was a kid and played piano, he would be Thelonious.
Right.
You know, and I've just been running around screaming that to everyone. And so that's one of the concepts that I wanted to illustrate in this book. And that's why I always tell people it's about Jimi Hendrix. And once again, this is something we told Janie from the gate. I was like, this is about Jimi Hendrix, but this is my personal love letter to Black music. And I feel like Mellow was on the same wavelength. You know, this was like our love to Black music as a genre, as a, you know, as a force, as a power, as a symbol of our life, as a, you know, notation of our times, everything. So that's what this was for me, and that's where the idea of the river came from. And that's when, I don't want to give away who that is Jimmy is talking to. That's for people to figure out on their own.
Okay.
Yeah, when the river of Black music is explained in that scene, that is a historical figure who, if you know Jimmy's history, it'll come there. And there's hard Easter eggs, I'll say.
There's Easter eggs throughout this, like
especially with him. I mean, throughout the book, I can name so many, but with that character in particular, we let you know. Like we told Janie knows who it is, and people have figured it out. And I'm sure you will now that I've said this. And if you go back and reread it, you're gonna get it. Because you're the grandmaster. I'm sure you'll get it. So.
Oh, look, I will definitely be looking into that.
I want to know what Easter eggs. We'll get to that, but I want to know what Easter eggs you figured out. But yeah, we'll get to that.
Well, even to drift upon, and this is something totally separate from the questions that I've asked. What do you feel like, as far as Black music is concerned, what is it that has separated a lot of artists that feel that don't feel like they've been universally hugged by Black music? Like say like a Jimmy, say like a Leon Bridges, say like a Lenny.
What's my man right now? I've been listening to Negrito. Fantastic Negrito. Yeah. Oh my God.
Living Color back in the day.
Oh God, I seen him live. Yeah, Fishbone. I said Fishbone. I didn't see Living Color. I saw Fishbone. I got kicked in the neck at a Fishbone show. Nigga came over the crowd. You know what I mean? Body surfing. Whap, caught me. It was bad, but that shit was ill. The lead singer fucking threw his saxophone to a roadie across the stage. Like that shit was so, I never, you know what I mean? Like the niggas rocking on the sax. He's like, I'm done with this. Boom, through a roadie. Like that shit was, oh my God. Like, yeah, shit was crazy. So what separates them and why is racism. Like, straight up and down. Like it's because the need to, toxic whiteness, what I like to call it, because white supremacy is what it's like normally known as, but like my boy pointed out to me, it's not supreme at all, and it's this toxic idea that permeates through everything. And because of that, we have separation. That's why I'm a big hater, or not hater, but I really dislike the idea of genre, because that's how it starts. It's like Miles Davis said something about this, where he was like, jazz is what people who can't play it call it. You know what I mean? We don't call it jazz. We play the shit. Y'all call it jazz, And so we just play music, you know what I mean? And y'all call it jazz. And see, then they called it rock. And with rock, it was real devious. Because it's like, we created rock and roll. We knew that. But then they were like, nah, this is heavy metal. This is thrash. This is this. I mean, we even created punk rock. You know what I mean? But we will never know that for the most part. You know what I mean? Straight shout out to Washington, D.C., Bad Brains. Like, we created punk rock. So we created probably most of the, little genres they do as well. But I mean, Jimi is the founder of most of it, for that matter. But it is the thing of one, like, oh man, this is a longer question. Like, it's because we don't make money off a lot of these things that I feel like we abandon them. And we also, I feel like we're the people who Coltrane and them did the most with that. Jimi did the most with the guitar. A kid after that's like, I ain't gonna pick up a guitar. What's the point? They're trying to do something else different. And the technology is changing. The access to instrumentation is changing. So after, they take music out of schools, we adapt and just make music out of turntables.
True.
So it keeps moving. And because of that, and because the way we've made so much money off of hip hop, I think that's one of the things where hip hop is the one we're not going to let go of, as far as I can see. But the rest of them have kind of been let go of for the most part because we're just off of them, while other people will continue to do them for the, and then we still have our, people out there, Terrace Martin, all that type of things, all the people we just mentioned in rock. But I think the main thing is racism, is why we, lose people like that, and why people like Jimi are pushed off, because for a long time, radio dominated everything. So radio would tell you what is black and what isn't. If the black stations are playing it, it's black. Right. You know what I mean? And then when the white stations are playing it, it's white.
Correct.
And that's all it was. When you went to a party and the DJ starts playing something from the white stations, people are like, oh, that's white music, dude. And if you're nice, they're going to rock out anyway. But, you got to be nice and they got to be receptive and a lot of things. And then programming of radio for a long time was such an influence on people. Now we're moving away from that. And because of that, we're moving away from genres and we're moving away from a lot of things. But for a long time, that dominance of radio, which was definitely, yet again, racism. So
and that domination of radio was regional radio, national radio, college radio, and that just basically brought you tenfold the artists that you never heard of.
Yes, because I grew up in Houston at a time when radio wasn't so corporate owned. So Houston radio was just completely different than, I would even say, Dallas radio. And now it's Houston, Dallas. All these people are all owned by the same corporation. So it all sounds alike.
Good old Radio 1.
There you go. Oh, yeah. My friends.
But let's get to these Easter eggs. For one, Digital Underground run in 2 parts. Can we talk about The Way We Swing and Who Knows? The Jimi.
Wow. Yeah, we can. Thank you. First of all, that was my first introduction to Jimi Hendrix, straight up and down. Was here Digital Underground. I was a fanatic. I wanted to join them. That was like one of my goals. As when I first started DJing, was like, I'm going to join Digital Underground.
Right.
And so I didn't even want to be a major part. I just wanted to be one of the dudes who shot G, shouted out in the liner notes. So I'd be happy with that. I met Shock once, rest in peace, and it was just one of my favorite days. I'd have to just talk to him and I didn't get to really be like, yo, I didn't get to really tell him, you're the god. But The Way We Swing is, the first time I heard Who Knows. And then a few years later, when I was at college, my uncle actually gave me, shout out to my Uncle Charles, actually gave me the Band of Gypsies album that had that on it. And he had no idea. And then I start playing it. I start playing Who Knows. And I'm like, oh, it's one of the mind-blowing, that wire moments. I'm like, oh, and that just kind of solidified it. And that was that, my love for Digital Underground. And that's why you see Shock in there and you see the digital reference. Yep.
Another one. So I saw the word Chonky Fire.
Yep, straight up. You already know.
And of course, I'm remembering that Andre 3000 played Jimi Hendrix in a 2013 biopic. All Is By My Side.
Yeah, where they did not let him have anything to do with it. I've never seen it.
I just remember the stills that came out.
Yeah, I don't know that it really come out. I was talking about this the other day, and I meant to Google it after that, and I don't know if it really came out or not. I don't know, because I've only seen stills and shit. So
that's basically it. That's all you.
Yeah.
But it was there. There. Yeah. So also, what does the Dembaka represent?
Oh, a lot. Like you gotta narrow it down a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah.
As far as in the moment of silence and music, what does the Dambaka represent? Does it represent something in today's time as well as his time?
Oh shit, that's a deep one. In the moment of silence and music, like you mean in the story
Yes,
when there is no music? Is that what you're asking?
correct.
Before Jimmy starts playing for the Dambaka themselves, and I'm trying not to spoil too much for those who have not read it. So in the moment of silence and music, all right, in general, let's say this. What do the Dambaka represent in the story?
In the story.
In the story, without spoiling too much of the story, the Dambaka represents
Because I have my own opinion.
First I want to hear your opinion. Because I do have an answer, but I would love to hear your opinion.
To be honest, like in a literal terms, I saw it in a few different ways. I even saw it something in today's society. I
love this, man. I've been working on this book. Me and Mello have been working on this book for years, and doing this press run and talking to people is really the first time. And like I've been waiting to talk to Black and brown people about it. So
I mean, for one, it represented bullshit A&Rs. It represented janky ass promoters. It represented nightclub programming controllers that try to tell you what to play. It represented street teams that had no idea what they were marketing. It represented a whole lot.
The Dambaka represented this.
The Dambaka just represented a whole bunch of things that I saw as an output of just ways that you could sway people's minds and they're not thinking about the promotion of the message in the music.
Ways that you can sway people's minds and not think about the promotion and the message in the music. Well, that is definitely a big part of the story in general. And I would say that the Dambaka represent Hendrix, like, as in they were trying
to put him in a box.
They're going through the same things that he is going through in this. The Dambaka are, and it was like, I'll be honest, that's one of my favorite pages. Is Mello wrote it when Hendrix returns and he gives a speech to the people and he explains kind of what the Dambaka are. Because it's this idea and it's fucking killer, man. Like Mello is so good. Like it's about, how we could be so great if only we weren't in shackles and chains.
Right.
And that's the same thing with them, is they just want to live. And that's the thing that I like. I was actually having a discussion with someone and they were talking about, it was like they tried to use the word revenge when talking about things like reparations. And I was just like, that's astounding that a Black person would say this. Would anyone would say this? Because we are people who have not been ever obsessed with revenge. If we were, we would have burned this place down years ago. We have just been obsessed with the idea of being able to live without interference. And that is what I think the Dambaka represent. And so, yeah, that's interesting that you got from the silence. That's crazy. That's dope, man. And
the thing is, I from Jimmy's perspective, a lot of it is freedom and peace.
Yeah.
And for the most part, like even just, I guess, the instances where I'm going to say there's maybe around like a good 6-7 times in the book where he's actually playing music. But when he does, there's an aura that comes out of it.
Yeah.
And it's almost like the Care Bear stare.
Yeah.
I'm gonna throw this love at your ass as soon as I hit these strings.
I had this whole and then I saw comedian do kind of a reference on it. I was so mad because I was like, that would be my strong 5 minutes that I was gonna do about how the Care Bears are fascist. Because I've been thinking about this since I was a kid. Like the first time I saw them pull the Care Bear stare, I was like, oh, these niggas is grimy. Like They don't give a damn how you feel, nigga. It's happy time, nigga. Fuck all that shit. I don't care what your alignment is, nigga. It's lawful good now, nigga. Fuck all that.
You having a bad day?
Yeah. Straight up, bro. They roll up, link them hands, and it's over for all y'all feelings. It's happy time, nigga. Pacify. They Drake out here. They straight Drake.
Oh my God. Formulaic.
Yeah. I mean, use it to pacify them. Like, that's the Care Bears.
That's crazy. So what we're talking about, because most of this, of course, is formed around, you talked about it earlier, the Band of Gypsies. And this was basically the formulation of that album. All the people that he is greeted with and hugged with, are they representations of the other band members?
No, they're not.
Gotcha.
There are people who are referenced in the book, but the direct that will come later, probably in volume 2, God willing. Yeah, gotcha. At least the actual band members of the Band of Gypsies. Vesper and Raina are representing people. They're kind of like a mix of different people. Okay, you know, in his real life. Yeah.
Now, Tom Mandrake.
Oh God.
Because for one, the aesthetics of the book, inside the interiors, the covers, everything that's been put. You actually have back there a whole different cover than what I have.
Oh, but yeah, there's 2 covers. Yep.
I'm gonna tell you when I got this in the mail. The first thing that I thought of, just opening the box and looking at it, was the white boy stoners in the 80s with the Vans.
I mean, you got it, bro. That was straight up. That was in one of me and Mello's earliest talk. And in fact, this is why the Dambaka are in the book, right?
Okay.
Is because in one of our very first conversations, and Mello will say that I'm just like the idea dude, you know, like that's always like when we've been in rooms together, that was like Mello's a structure guy, you know, and he got mad ideas that you see in all this too. But I'm the type of person who, if you give me a start, I'll be like, but what if we do this, you know? And it's gonna be something weird, you know. And then if you don't like that, I'm gonna give you 10 more different variations, you know, that are different from that first one. But I'm just gonna keep them with things. And so one of the first things I came with was, I was like, yo, dog. And like I said, we kept talking about reclaiming this imagery, reclaiming rock. So I was like, all the things you would ever see on the side of a van, we have to have in this book with a black man doing it. So I need Jimmy riding a goddamn dragon. Right. And Mello was like, oh, all right, dog, but we just can't have him riding a dragon. You know what I mean? And that's where, from that is how we led, you know, through a long, convoluted path, is how we led to the Dambaka.
Because if you think about it, you know, Jimmy riding a dragon wouldn't be so obscure in white American rock music, if you want to call it that.
Yes. Yeah.
Because if you look at those old ass album covers, fucking Ride the Lightning, maybe like by Metallica, or maybe like some old Alice in Chains records, the hair bands.
Yes.
You know, the hair bands. That's what you, the unicorn with the vampire thing and whatnot.
Yes.
That's what you would see.
And that's what we wanted in this book. And that's how we led to the Dambaka. And I've told this on another joint, so I'll tell it on here too, because it's a little writing tip that I feel like, because Mello really, you know, schooled me on this. He's like, always create, you know, basically. Like, a dragon is cool, but then you're doing House of Dragons, Game of Thrones, whatever, you know, How to Train Your Dragon, blah, blah, blah. But now you got a Dambaka. And anytime you know, Google Dambaka, it's going to lead to Jimi Hendrix-Purple Haze. And so it's like, create, you know what I mean? And that's why we created the Dambaka, and that's why it is what it is. It's three-headed lion with not three-headed lion, a three-eyed giant lion with a mystical glowing eye and wings that lays eggs.
So what's this I heard that you didn't know who Tom Mandrake was when you
no idea. No clue at all. Straight up, the very first image that we saw is this image on the alternate cover that you see behind me.
Okay.
Here, I have another copy right here, so everyone can see it. Yep. This was the first image that I ever saw. They sent me this image. I think it was still black and white. Yeah, I don't even think it'd been in color yet. So they sent me this image, and they were like, this is the artist we have, Tom Mandrake. And I was like, oh, it's a dope image of Jimmy. All right, cool. Who the fuck is Tom Mandrake? You know, that was my thought, straight up and down.
Mm-hmm.
And then I went to Google, you know, as smart people do. And I went to Google and I'm like, oh, this worked with everyone.
Yeah.
And then I realized he'd done a lot of stuff that I knew about. I just hadn't read, you know, in general. Because when I was that age, I wasn't reading DC like that heavy. I definitely didn't read horror heavy. I know I missed his Suicide Squad run, which I probably have read issues of, but I just don't remember that, you know. I didn't know it was him on it. But you know, it's one of those things like, it was once again one of those Wire moments. You know, I started Googling, I'm like, oh my God, this dude can do anything I give him.
Yeah.
You know, I'm just like, oh my God, anything I think of, he can do it. He's a Neil Adams, you know, he's a John Byrne. He's, you know, he's what they call classically trained comic book artist who can draw anything. He's a Sienkiewicz, you know. I even put Jim Lee in that kind of category. You know, I know a lot of people have their issues with McFarlane, you know, in some on a good day, you know, like Cassidy, rest in peace. You know, these people who can draw anything, it's a wonder, you know. And so then we get on a Zoom with him, and well, first we get on email, and we just start vibing right away. You know, there was like, I was like, yo, Tom, it was two things. One, I Googled some of his art and I saw he could do black people. And not only could he do black people, he had like, it was this page where it's from the 90s where he had all these brothers on the page, and it's in the 90s. So all of them are in the hood and they all got like Gumbies. One dude had the 3, you know, cuts in his eyebrow.
Yeah.
It was crazy, you know, and it wasn't like caricatures. They were just black. You know what I mean? They had noses, they had lips, but they weren't like all, you know, out of control, but they were brothers. And their hair was dope, you know, and I'm like, oh shit, I ain't got to say nothing. You know, I ain't got to be like, yo, a lot of the people in this book, even though they're on alien worlds, are going to look black. You know, I didn't need to tell him that, you know. And even our colorist, Justin Prokovich, I didn't need to tell them that. There was a lot of times when I'd see the page and I'd be like, okay, Tom drew that person as white and drew this person coded as black. And I was like, at first I'd been wanting to tell Justin that, but I think I told Justin one time, I was like, look, we're doing a very, you know, racially, you know, charged story. So this needs to be, and that was the end of that, because this dude's a monster. And Tom was the same way. Tom is just, it's mind-blowing to me, you know, every time I think about it. Every time I pick up this book and look at the pages, I'm in shock, I'm in awe. The glory of it all. I've seen his work go from when he would send me the pencil pages to the ink pages to the colored pages, and at every stage I was in tears. Every time. It's an experience that I'll never be able to recreate, because it's obviously my first time ever, you know. It's like lose your virginity, I guess. And it was just like, I've never seen me take a page and someone like, okay, I write panel 1, panel 2, panel 3, panel 4, this happens in these panels, and him turn it into this shit where I'm like, yo, I could look at this for hours. That I talk about the opening, the double page spread so much, and it just blows my mind. You know, that double page spread, I know it by heart now. Like, I can sit here and tell you where every little character and what every little character is doing in the foreground, because I've studied it so much. It's incredible. And it wasn't like I said, do this, do that. I just said, Jimmy's performing, magical energies all around him. You know, they are doing their fucking thing. They're destroying it. And the crowd is completely ignoring him. And they're all on various devices or doing whatever, but they just don't give a shit about what he's doing up there. Right. And then Tom gives you just all these stories, you know, people taking photos of other people. Somebody's got him in his eye. You know, it's just on and on. The level of, I could not believe it, bro. I'll never forget, you know, because it was like the first page, I'm like, oh, this is dope. You know, great. He got what I wanted, that sweat dripping from Jimmy down to the drummer, you know, boom. That was something I saw in my head. And I'm like, oh, that'd be so fucking cool if we do that right. You know, and he got that. And then I flipped the page and I'm just like, you know, I'm just like, what am I working with here? You know, like, I'm working with a god. Like,
the crowd shots that he basically created
Yeah.
Looking at the individual folks. I mean, even in some type of the details that were happening, like those first couple pages in that first concert, where the crowd was kind of like, some people were incredibly happy and in a rage, and then you had some people that were like confused because they wanted him to burn his guitar and everything like that. So you saw personalities and faces and emotions that were happening in every single human being in the crowd, and I'm like, fuck.
It's that like when you were talking about earlier, because they're like telling him to burn the guitar, do it, and they're all screaming at him, and then after he does it, it's this shot where the one shot's at the beginning of the page and the other shot's at the bottom of the page, and it's the same characters and their facial expressions just change, and it's magic, man. That shit is like, yo, dog, like it's like you're watching a movie, you know. It's absolutely incredible. Tom Mandrake and then Justin Prokovich are just they're some of the best I've ever seen, and I shout them both out every time I get to talk about this book because oh my god,
now
it's unreal. Like I've told people, hey, Tom Mandrake did my book, and their jaws drop. You know, anyone who worked in the industry, they're just like, what? This is your first book? And I'm like, yeah, I know. Yeah. Shit happens, dude. Like it's weird. Like, it's fucking
weird. Now, we're looking at it from the
that's all. I literally told Tom King that. Yeah. Shout out to Tom King. his fucking jaw dropped. And I was like, yeah, I know, man. It's fucking weird.
It happened.
I was like, I don't know. I don't know.
Sometimes the water does taste as good. You know what I'm saying? So
straight up, fam.
Like, the water is this good sometimes.
This ain't Dasani, nigga.
Straight up. Year apart.
Shit is bomb, bro. It's that fucking, what's that? A refined shit that got electrolytes in it, all kind of stuff.
Alkaline.
Yeah, there we go.
So the one thing I guess I could get with Justin Prokovich is the 23rd century psychedelic. The colors in this shit are just magnificent. Yeah. It's almost like I expected it, but then I'm going through the pages and I'm like, damn, I ain't know it was gonna look like this.
Man. And then the print is so well done. It just brings it out so much. That was another thing. I'd seen it for so long on PDF. You know, for so long, I've been looking at this drawing on PDF. So when I finally got to see the print of it, it was like, oh my God. And they did such a great job of the print. The pages are all glossy. They're thick. It's just it's for $30. Like, you are getting your goddamn money's worth, man. I'm so impressed. You know, like, somebody sell me this. I was like, yo, what? Bruh, like, it's oversized. You know, all the images are like so vibrant. Oh,
so I'll take and piggyback off of what you just said. So you've been looking at the PDF for so long, and a lot of people have gotten into the notion that they could just consistently read digital comics.
Yeah.
But you happen to you were waiting on this graphic novel to hit your hand. You know what I'm saying? There is a difference.
Yeah.
A big difference.
There's a huge difference. And that just goes for me because I've always appreciated, I grew up first on comics, and I read nightly on my iPad. I read joints pretty much nightly on my iPad. But at the same time, I'm in the store every week buying up graphic novels, buying up floppies. Shout out to AJ. I'm a Purdue. I just bought the last 2 issues of Ninjak versus Roku, I think.
Yep, that's correct.
Yep, Ninjak versus Roku. I just bought the last 2 issues of that. Got all 4 of them. What else I pick up today? Picked up something else. Oh, the first issue of Doctor Who. From Titan. Shout out to Titan. And so I'm always buying comics, and I just really love, especially them big oversized joints like that. Like, man, I was in a bookstore today and they had the oversized Dark Knight, and I don't even give a damn about Dark Knight. I almost bought it like that. I was like,
if it's not like a regular 18 by 12 floppy, it's getting like one of these like literally the size of yours is the size of like this one that I got, like this and this.
What is that? Frontiers?
Yeah, it's like a chibi sci-fi comic, but it's like
nice. Yeah, nice. Yeah, that looks beautiful.
But when you get one of these, it's your collector's item.
Yeah. No,
it's the one you show off when people come to the crib.
man, yeah, no, and it's been like that. Like when I walk around with it, it blows people's minds. It's really weird. People are like, "What is that?" And I'm like, "Oh, Jimi Hendrix." And like I sold it to a woman in the taco spot the other day because she saw me. I was down at the bookstore down the block signing them outside, and she walked by me, and then I walked up the block to the taco spot, and she was like, "Yo, what is that?" And I was like, "There you go. That's what it is."
Now, as far as like I know you did San Diego Comic-Con, you did a signing there. As far as like the consistency and the tour of getting more eyes on this book, what exactly are you and Mellow doing with Titan Comics to get more marketing in this?
As much and anything as possible. That's why I was so happy to come on the show, and I've just been reaching out in anywhere I can speak about it. I'm down to do it. I'm just really happy, especially to talk to more, like I said, POC, because I feel like there's a lot in this book that people aren't getting. And it's really awesome to me because that's what I really wanted. Was I wanted people to not get a lot of shit and still love it. And they did. A lot of people have done reviews and stuff where they haven't talked about any of this stuff we've talked about, and they've loved it. And I'm like, that's perfection, because we wanted to tell a really dope space opera that just features Black people. And you won't even think about it, and you'll just have a good time. But if you're looking for everything else, it's right there. It's not even subtext to me. It's just there. But if you're not looking for it, you won't get it. And that's exactly what we wanted to do. So, what was the question there? Sorry. What else am I doing? What else am I doing to promote it? Well, I'm here right now. We went to San Diego Comic-Con. We'll obviously be at New York Comic-Con with For All Nerds and myself. And it looks like I'm going to be co-tabling with the artist N. Stephen Harris. Shout out to my brother, N. Stephen. And so we're going to have a table together down in Artist Alley, which will be another weird moment for me because for the last 10 years, I've been interviewing people on Artist Alley.
I'm about to say, you've been the one going from booth to booth.
Yeah, and so now I'm going to be sitting at a booth selling books.
Poor Tatiana. She's going to be the one walking around on her own.
Yeah, no, I'll take turns. We'll take turns. She'll probably sell some books for a minute. So we're gonna have I'll start advertising where we're at, but I'm telling you, that table is gonna be popping. I'm letting people know that joint is gonna be lit. We are gonna be the place to be in Artist Alley. Look for N. Stephen Harris and Ben HaMeen on Artist Alley at NYCC, because that table is gonna be something else. It ain't gonna be like the other tables.
I'm about to say, you ain't asking if you could bring your turntables that day?
I'm not asking. Things just might happen, like asking. I ask for forgiveness, not for permission. There will be sounds from this booth in one way or the other. Me, like, come on, fam. I'm gonna sit there and quiet all day. No, I'm at least having an air horn when people walk by, like, bah, 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 like, no, it's pay attention, look up. Buy this book, so yeah. And then from there, I was trying to go to MCM in London at the end of October, but I'm not sure if that's going to happen right now. Yeah, because it's just financially. And so, but I'm going to go to London after that because Titan has a big footprint out there.
Okay.
And if I don't make it for that, I'm gonna there's another con next year. I might just go when the MCM happens again in spring. Because we're gonna keep pushing this. Like, it's one of those things that I feel like even before it came out, like, the reception's been great. We've been selling well from what I understand, but I knew that it was going to be a slower push than any other thing because it's an unknown quantity. It's not Batman, it's not Superman, it's not the X-Men. It's Jimi Hendrix. He's in space. It's a lot of things that it takes people a second to get. But I also knew, and then when I saw it myself, I was like, oh, it don't matter.
Yeah.
It's one of those things that when they see it, they can be like, what is that? And then when they open it, it's, oh, I need this. And so, I was good. And that's why it's been doing well. And I've just been trying to get it where people know that it exists. Because that's still a thing. Titan isn't the biggest publisher. They're not Marvel. They're not DC. They're not Image. But the Jimi Hendrix name, Mellow is also a big name in comics. And, we're getting there. And then, we also have Tom Mandrake to thank for being a god in the industry. So
now, has this particular project called for you to write more projects?
Yes. I've always wanted to write comics. Actually, no, I can't lie. That's not something that I really ever really started considering probably until Mello started writing Blade Runner. because you know I was writing TV and things of that nature, and that's what I've always thought about writing. And I've written comics back in high school, you know, and things of that nature before I ever wrote any movies. But it kind of wasn't a thing that I was really thinking about until I saw Mello doing it. And it was so funny, at the same weekend that Mello sent the pitch to me, I ran into Isaac Goodhart, another friend of mine, another just absolutely fantastic artist. Please read The Oddly Pedestrian Life of Christopher Chaos. It's one of my favorite books out right now. It's fantastic, and Isaac is killing it on that shit. And so Isaac, I run into him in Artist Alley, and he's like, yo, you gotta write a comic book and I'll draw it. You know, he's like, I don't care if it's 2 pages, you gotta write a comic book. You know, and I was like, what? All right, cool. If you're gonna draw it, hell yeah, I'm gonna write this shit. So I actually went home that night and wrote a little 2-pager that I pitched to him later, and we still haven't done it yet because I want to say that same night while I'm writing it, Mello hit me and was like, hey, you want to pitch on Jimi Hendrix?
See, manifest destiny, man.
Yeah, serendipity, man. Things just happen. Like, you know, and that's generally been my, at least professional career, has always been things just happen, you know, and so like I told you know, it's weird, Tom King, you know, it's weird. Like it through all the ups and downs, things happen, I will have to say. But then I constantly work at it. And so like now I have a new idea that I'm really in love with. And I think it's to be like a 5-issue joint or a graphic novel of 5-issue size.
Yeah.
And I'm developing that over the next few weeks. And then I'm planning to pitch that to a couple of publishers. But if not, it might just be a Kickstarter and I publish it myself because it's something that I'm like, oh yeah, this is it. Like I have a few ideas. We're talking about sequels to Jimi Hendrix-Purple Haze, the Titan. Yeah. And the book is, as you read it, the ending leaves it wide open for multiple sequels. And Janie Hendrix has talked about multiple volumes. So hopefully, that comes to be. We're also, there's talk of, series, like an animated series, especially something that I would love to see and love to be involved with. And so, yeah, it's just, different things. But yeah, I'm definitely working on another comic and definitely, God willing, we'll do sequels to Jimi Hendrix.
With the reception, of course, that this gotten so far, and Janie basically giving y'all the gold stamp, she's kind of made y'all like, I think I heard her say, kind of protectors of the realm.
That shit is so weird. The Guardians of the Legacy. That's what
Guardians of the Legacy.
Yeah, that's what another interviewer said, and she claimed it. I told other people it's just like it wasn't something we thought about while we were doing it. It was like we just got to write a good story. I can't think about the idea that is Jimi Hendrix, because that will fuck me up. I just have to write a good story. And then I was really on a not paranoid, I felt like I more so even than Mello had a lot to prove with this.
Right.
Because Mello has already written Blade Runner, and I hadn't written anything at the time, or that was published at least. And then I've been the person on For All Nerds for the last 10 years, either critiquing people's books or talking to them directly about their books.
Right.
And I've become friends with a lot of these creators. And so I knew a lot of them would read it.
Mm-hmm.
And so that made me where I was like, okay, then I got to fucking kill it, because I can't have them be disappointed in me because, that's the thing. Like, and it was just a lot of people I really wanted to impress with this. And so I really just, that was where I was like, okay, I got to destroy it, and I got to bring my all to this. And hopefully I felt like we did, I definitely felt like we brought our all to it. Whether or not we killed it is up to other people.
Strongly agree with you, bro.
Thank you.
And especially into the fact that it ends open-ended. So to be honest, there's multiple pathways that this could go into.
Oh, yeah.
Decide to do, if you and Mello decide to jump in this one more again or even 3 times over.
Yeah. And it was intentionally written like that. And because I once told the whole story to a friend of mine, like after we conceptualized it, I don't think we were even gotten through the first act, like actually writing it, but we conceptualized the whole story at that point. And I just sat there and told him to him. And he was like, well, that's not the ending, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, yeah, nigga, but we gotta get paid for that. You know what I mean? Like, that's not like I know that's not the ending. But at the same time, I really feel that this is a complete story. Like lately, I've been comparing it to A New Hope, where it's a story that, Star Wars A New Hope, where when you finish, you're like, okay, that's the end, and that was a great story. But if there is more, I get it. But if not, this is good.
Right.
But at the same time, I wanted it to be a story where, just like A New Hope, where when you meet these characters, you're immediately like, hold up, what happened to these motherfuckers before this?
Yeah.
And that's what we wanted to establish. We wanted everyone to, when you come into the beginning, they're well lived in characters. They have relationships. Things have happened before them. There's a lot of references to things that have happened before, things that are going on with them now. They have internal and external conflicts. There's a lot of thought, and we were just really putting our all into it. And so that's where I really did that. And that's why it's structured the way it is as well.
So, Ben, I appreciate you doing this with me, man.
Oh no, man. I'm down to, do this and answer any more questions. I actually have questions for you now, real quick. I want to know, how did you feel about Vesper and Reyna as characters and their journey through the book?
It's funny because Vesper and Reyna having this sort of I'm not gonna say angel and devil, but they were kind of like the consciousness of Jimmy throughout the entire book, and how they kind of like molded his personality, the thoughts that he basically wanted to portray. Like, of course, he was this over confident figure throughout the book, but yet when you had Vesper and Reyna, they sort of acted as conscious.
No, that's a great take, and that's definitely what it is. Like, all three of them represent different viewpoints, and they are kind of like where Jimmy is kind of stuck in the middle. It might not be the middle viewpoint, but he is in the middle between the two of them, I will say.
Yeah, and it wasn't good and bad. It wasn't angel and devil or anything.
No, yeah, and that's what I mean. It's not like left or right, like in our terms of that. It's just he's in the middle of whatever their particular viewpoints are. He's in the middle of them, and they all have to come to. To me, hopefully, they did go on different journeys where they came to different endings, and they're not at the same point by the end of it, but they all went on their own individual journey. Hopefully,
and you could tell that they kind of used each other as like emotional crutches.
Yes,
definitely. Like if anybody felt a certain way, they were the pick me up for each other.
Yeah, that is that. I mean, Vesper and Reyna are sisters, and then Jimmy and Vesper have a relationship that goes back. I don't want to exactly give away exactly what their relationship is, but it goes back, and you can infer a lot of stuff from the book. And even from Tom's art, I have to say, like that, I asked another question about Easter eggs, but Tom did Easter eggs in the art that are so crazy that I didn't notice till I was staring at the cover, and I'll point this one out for everyone out there.
One I got
on this cover and throughout the book, as you see, that's Vesper right there, the woman.
Yep.
And next to her is Foxy, Jimmy's artificial intelligence, Girl Friday type thing. And look very closely at both their eye makeup. And it's pretty much the same thing.
Yeah.
So why would Jimi Hendrix program his AI to have the eye makeup of someone? And that's all Tom. But that was in the book why, like that's in the script, why who Foxy is and what Jimmy's and Vesper's relationship is in the script. But Tom just put that thing to give you that, if you think, and everything else you read in the book, you can kind of tell that they've had this, there's something going on with them, and that's all in the book. But that eye shit was just Tom just being like, oh, okay, I read the script. Okay, boom, let me do this.
Yeah, now that I look at it, I didn't even catch that before. Damn.
You rat pass. I didn't catch that till I was sitting there studying the cover. Like I said, I've been looking at this cover for so long.
That's the thing, because the larger focus on Jimmy's face on the front cover, and
yes, it's mind blowing.
It's hard to not get hypnotized by the lines that he used to create that face.
Yeah, And then when you get into the guitar that the larger Jimmy is playing, and then the small, you see the strat lines behind the smaller Jimmy. So there's so much in that cover that takes you away or distracts you, but then there's so many little details. And that's part of that is us with, us being like, okay, this, and this, and this. There's a lot of very specific stuff I wrote in the script. And then part of it is just Tom, being just a magical artist.
Damn. Yeah.
So yeah, and then my other question is, what any other Easter eggs that you caught on?
Oh,
or anything that, yeah.
What did I have here? Backwash Cortez.
I want to know what you had in your notes about that. That's what I want to know.
I'm sitting here thinking, like,
I want to know what did you have written that's the Backwash Cortez? I want to know.
For one, I read the character twice, so I'm like, who is this man? And for one, why is his name Backwash? Did he spit in Jimmy's drink?
Why his name Backwash is just me. Like, I don't know. It was one of those things. I think I was drinking something, and then I was like, oh, remember Backwash? Remember when cats used to talk about Backwash? Like, oh, don't drink that, I backwash. Yeah. And I was like, that was such a wild time of life, right? And then it was just like, yo, that, because we created this character already, and I was like,
right,
Backwash, and then I was like, yo. And then Cortez, this is an Easter egg, but it's something I've revealed, is it also popped into my head instantly. It's like Backwash Cortez, fully formed, you know what I mean?
Right.
And then I'm not even sure how long it took after that for Bowling Ball Head to pop in my head either. But that was like, it was all on the same day. It was just like Backwash Cortez, Bowling Ball Head. So Google, okay, no characters have bowling ball heads that I can find. Boom, that's mine. You know what I mean? Bowling ball head with the Star Wars Lobo technology, not Lodo. What's that dude's name? I can't remember the dude's name, but like, that shit. Yeah, the dude from Empire Strikes Back, he bald and he got the shit on his head. So I was like, that's what I told Tom, that type of shit, but floating, you know what I mean? And with screens so he can project images and shit. Bowling ball head, fly ass Gucci suit.
I was saying, what I mean? If Mysterio was a pimp.
Yeah. With a bowling ball head.
With a bowling ball head. And I was like, and I'm thinking of Backwash Cortez reminded me, I was like, is this a character from Welcome Back, Kotter?
That's exactly what I wanted it to feel like. And it was just, and then Cortez, that's the other part. Like I said, it all popped in my head, but then I know why Cortez popped in my head is because of Fabian Cortez, the X-Men character.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and so it was like, because I've always thought his name was kind of weird but cool at the same time.
Right.
So it's like, this is a distant relative.
Backwash Cortez.
And then it's BC. And I wanted to do that in the book, but I didn't, I was like, no, you're going too far. So I let people figure that out. It's like BC, Backwash Cortez, And then, like, as a DJ and everything, he represents, like, it's wild you got that from the Dembaka, but he is definitely a shady promoter that I've ever dealt with. And also just the idea of keeping people stuck in one thing, and not letting you grow. That's, that keeps coming up, and he really represents that. And that, man, like, I just keep shouting out Tom. Like, there's a panel where when Backwash is showing Jimmy his personal collection of all his artifacts, everything Jimmy has done in his career, everything Hendrix has done. And he's like, isn't this great? And his hands are like up like this. And Tom drew that shit and I cried because it's like, that's the perfect expression. Like, oh my God, just look at all this stuff, and I didn't write that, but it just, Tom just got it, this dude's geeking out over all this stuff, and he has his hands up like that, and I saw that, and I just could not stop laughing. Like,
it's that Michael Jackson reaction gif. I love this song.
Yes, it's straight up that. Yes, I love this song. It's that. It's straight up, and he just draws that. I'm just like, yo, what is this dude on, man? Like, this guy is such magic. But yeah, that is
Xbox Quartet.
And then again, like when you get the graphic novel, there's the script page in the back. I did not choose this. Someone at Titan or Janie, I don't know who, was like, let's put the script page that talks about backwash protests. But it was such a joy to me because I was like, now everybody can see. I intentionally said bowling ball head. You know, this is what I said. This all was in script. Like none of this was accidental. This is all from me or Mello's mind. And then, like I say, the details are from Tom and Justin. But like, you know, hippos with space in their mouth that's another reference. You know, it's a weird Easter egg that I don't think anyone will ever get why that hippo has space in their mouth. But yeah, there's all kind of stuff like that. That was, you know, that was intentional. But then some things are just Tom being a fucking genius too, as well.
Yeah. So. Like, what was the difference between a protest and a concert? Like,
thank you. That was the first shit I wrote. That was the first line I wrote. and I'm glad it hit you, you know, because that when I wrote that, I was like, okay, we got something here. You know, I was like, I can do this, you know, because it was like I knew where I was going there. You know, I was like, okay, what's the difference between a protest and a concert? You know, one, people care about what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, wow, that's kind of fire, you know what I mean? Right. And then it started going into that making noise thing. You know, it's like each of the, as far as I could, you know, that was my attempt. It's like, I wanted it, you know, to George Lucas. It rhymes, it's poetry. You know, it's like, I wanted the opening of each act to go into the end of it. So it's like, you know, you're talking about concerts and protests, and then he's talking about the river, and, you know, he sees the protests and all that. And yeah, man, that was, thank you. I'm just like, you know, Tatiana was telling me about stuff that hit her, and then she was quoting some of Mello's lines and quoting some of my lines, and it's just really, it's weird. Like I keep going back to that. All this shit is so weird to me, and it's just very cool too.
Look, man. I feel like for you, and I'm not going to say your first run at this because you've always been a writer.
Yeah.
But the fact that, you know what I'm saying, you didn't start out with like no 22-page floppy putting this issue out. Like you and Mello put your whole body and soul into this.
Yeah.
And that's what basically got brought into light. Like even in the fact of us just talking about the Easter eggs and the detail that we had, the musical references and so such and so forth. That more so and just recognizes you and how you detailed this out in the page, all that sci-fi that was driven about the Dembaka, however y'all came up with that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? When we're talking about the stoner kids in the back of the vans and everything, and how the vans were basically like dressed up back in the day. Like you could tell that the process was massive.
Yeah. It was a lot of long Zoom conversations with me and Mello. And me and Mello will have these conversations where we will talk for hours on end about everything but this book, and then spend like 45 minutes talking about the book itself. And then, like I say, Mello just, you know, and I'm just good with that. Like, if you give me a basic plot structure, I can just give you everything. You know, I'll just throw, you know, the fucking everything in the kitchen sink at you, and then we'll work around that. You know, like I said, the Mbaka was really cool to me. That was like one of the illest things I've done, because it was like, okay, we started off, I want to see him riding a dragon, and then it becomes such a through line in the book, and then their whole ecological system plays into the economy of the book, and I was like, oh, this is fucking ill, you know, like we really desolate here, like, you know, that's crazy.
But also, you gotta come to realize there's a lot of trust that I guess you guys put into each other, because to come up with the character with bowling ball head, be like, yo, we're gonna put that in the book.
At every turn, I thought somebody would say something. When I sent it to Mello, I thought he'd be like, what?
No.
You know, and Mello told me he'd just come from, because he was on set at the time. He was working on Station 19, so he's producing on that. You know, it's a fucking, like, it's a job. You know what I mean? Producing a television series is a job. So he just comes home from like 16-hour day maybe, and gets an email from me where it's talking about backwash courses. He said he just closed his laptop and walked away.
Come on, man. Come on, bro.
What's wrong with you? But then he was like, nah, man, let's go with it. And then he sent it, we sent it to Janie and to Titan, and no one said anything, because one, like, we really had gained Janie and Titan's trust by then, by the time, because that's third issue. No, yeah, that's third issue when he appears, right?
Yes.
I think. Yeah. So by the third, we were pretty rolling.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but even then I was, I didn't know we were rolling by the third. I didn't know that until after they sent back notes on the third, but when I sent it in, I didn't know that. So I was like, oh, okay, somebody could be like, what the fuck? Backwash? What are you talking about? Ain't no way.
But
no one.
Then it also comes to mind that, like, maybe Jimmy had this crazy ass sense of humor. And he was like,
he definitely did. And Janie has a wild sense of humor. Me and Janie are both Pisces, I found out when we met. And Janie is a wicked, quick, she is observant as fuck. She, is funny, and she'll cut you to quickness. She don't play that, just like me. And so I think it just tickled her funny bone, and everyone else is just like it did mine. It's just one of the things that just worked, like, and to me, it just works. Backwash Cortez. That shit's fire. Like, come on, man. like what a name. Like, that shit is amazing. Oh my God.
I like betting not anybody steal that. I swear.
I smoke a lot of marijuana. I'm not sure if that was marijuana. I do an occasional mushroom, and I might have been on, a little more when I came up with them. I'm not 100
substances.
But shout out to my brain and whatever was influencing it at that moment. Because wow. Backwash fucking
I ain't never gonna get that. He better have a role in issue 2.
Fam, if I can do, like, that is my goal. I'm not, like, I want to do sequels to this, but I need a spinoff, just about my man's. Like, I have the whole redemption, it's like the miseducation of Backwash Cortez, something like that, It was to be the re-education of Backwash Cortez.
I can see this happening, but you ain't got to do it, Lauren. Hell, you do it, Sonny Carson.
Yeah, either way, you know what I mean? Right. There it is. Because, I mean, he is a Sonny Carson ass character.
Sonny Carson, yeah. Absolutely.
Oh my God, that shit. Because I sent him a bowling ball image. I sent him, this brother in this fly ass Gucci suit, and I was like, yo, combine this.
Combine this, yeah.
And then I sent him the Star Wars dude, and he was like, and then he sent that shit back, and I was just like, oh my God, I probably did that right then. Like, this is my song. Oh, thank you, Tom. You are playing my fucking shit right now.
See, and then that makes me think of what was going through his head, basically, like, putting this character together. He was like, bowling ball, Gucci suit.
And then his notes are in there. He said that was like, because he had that sketch of him, and he was like, this is the, as soon as I read it, I just sketched this shit. And I was like, you got it right away. I don't know if, I think I did ask him, because we met at Comic-Con a few years ago. And I think I did ask him then, but I can't remember what his answer was. Like, but I'm gonna ask him that again. Like, yo, what did you think?
Mm-hmm.
What was your thought? Because Tom has told me the one thing he did tell me, not one, but one of the things he did tell me that blew my mind was when we were doing this, he told me that he was inspired by what me and Mello wrote. And people have said this is some of his best work ever. And this dude goes back so far that alone is, once again, shit's weird.
I'm not gonna lie to the man if people are telling him that. I mean, I kind of agree.
I mean, it's tough for me to say because I know I've seen some of his shit where it's like, yo, he has this page of Wolverine that I saw online where it was like, yo, and the way he used spacing and paneling and that, it was. But there's some shit in here I think is some of the best thing I've ever seen from anyone. Straight up and down. Like that 2-page spread, I think, is one of the greatest pieces of art I've ever seen in a comic book.
Factual.
And I've read a lot of comic books, and I just, like I say, when I opened that page, when I first got that, when they sent me the email back, when he sent me the pencils, and I'm just like, nah, man, what is going on here? Like, this is something else. Like, I can write shit, and this is gonna be something else, but we haven't written shit, so this is something else.
Right. It's the imagination is now taking the page, and I ain't wrote shit yet.
Yeah, and I was like, we haven't, that 2-page, we haven't gotten to like the Dambaka and all this other stuff. So excuse me.
Mm.
I just knew, you know. Yeah,
brother. Look, man, the book is, of course, up for sale everywhere right now.
yes.
And to be honest, now, if I know where I got it from, but if anybody wanted to get their hands on this, where would you tell them to go? Just like you told me.
If you're in America, go to anyonecomics.com and you can get a copy from them. They ship straight through America. And I want to say even some places in Europe and places like that. They even ship to Africa if you do a large enough order. You know, they will ship you a few books. Like you got to do more than one book, not just my book, but, you know, you cop a few books, whatever. They'll make it happen. And so they'll get it to you. And not only will they get it to you, they'll also get you a signed copy with an exclusive book plate from Tom Mandrake. And I got one for you, bro. I'm going to have to get it to you somehow, but I got you one, you know, because I know you got your joint off Amazon.
Bro,
so
you ain't never said, you ain't said nothing but a word. I'll gladly get you my address.
Yeah, I got you. So there it is. And you get, you know, hit up anyonecomics.com and it's exclusive and limited right now. We might print up some more book plates. I'll see how that going. But we're running a little low on them. You know, a lot of people have copped it from there. It's been doing very well. But hit up Anyone Comics, and for, you know, a little bit of time, you'll still be able to get a signed copy from them. Definitely, I'll make it happen.
Excellent,
yeah,
bro. Thank you again. The book is fantastic. You and Mello have done a fantastic job. Tom just fucking killed it through all the way throughout this book, man. And I'm looking for more from you.
Oh, thank you, bro. Thank you. I've got a really cool idea that I told Mello about yesterday, and it's funny because he's working on a movie script that is kind of the same idea that I wanted to do as a comic, you know, like in different ways. Probably they're gonna be completely different with their dub, but it was so funny. He was like, "Yo, I'm working on a movie that's like that," but he was like, "Yo, this what you got right here, this is fire. Go ahead with that." So, you know, I'm gonna do this comic and he's gonna do this movie, so it's gonna be interesting.
Yeah. Man. Yo, let me know when it happens. Absolutely.
Oh, soon, man. Soon as I can be, I will. Yeah, definitely. Thank you again, man. You know, this is a blessing. I really love talking about this book, and I could do this forever. So, you know, anytime I'll come back.
I appreciate you talking about it because I like talking about it as well, man. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you so much.
For sure, man. So for everybody out there, James Grandmaster Facts Voice, DJ Ben, go see him on For All Nerds. Watch the podcast every week. What day, sir?
It depends, man. We need to get a real schedule.
Y'all go through a bunch of days. It's usually like 3 times a week now.
Yeah, it's usually Thursdays is our usual schedule, but like it's the end of summer, we've been, you know, just chilling a little bit. So we'll be back on schedule. Like going into the fall, we'll be back on Thursdays. But tomorrow, Friday the 13th. Oh shit. Yeah, Friday the 13th. Tomorrow we're dropping our review of Transformers 1. Yeah, yep. Which will drop tomorrow, and it's fire too. So
yeah,
make sure you check that out. Yeah, I actually did not get to see it, but Tatiana did the review with me, and it's a no spoiler review because I didn't want to be spoiler, and Tatiana was really hyped, and I was like tight because there's a preview tonight and it was sold out, so I didn't even know, and I'm like, damn it, but I'm definitely in theaters next weekend on that joint.
So for anybody out there, please get your hands on Jimi Hendrix-Purple Haze Titan Comics out there right now. Anyone Comics, as he just detailed just before we got talking. Please get out there and get that himself. Mellow Brown, Tom Mandrake, colorist again,
Justin Prokovich.
The colors here are wicked,
man. And please tag me at DJ Ben on all socials, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, don't matter. Please tag me and let me know what you think about it when you do get it. Thank you so much. This is like really so cool to me.
That's what's happening, man. So for all of us here at the Facts Project, we are out.